Welcome to All the Things They Don't Want You to Talk About podcast. This podcast will explore all the subjects that make the insecure squirm in their seats. Religion, politics, local and national, the Constitution of the United States, and the wheel of love and hate, to just name a few. Stay with us as we use our freedom of speech to delve into the good and the bad. If this podcast is not for you, feel free to find another one. Without any further ado, here comes All the Things They Don't Want You to Talk About podcast. Good evening, good morning, whatever time it is. And here comes another edition of All the Things They Don't Want You to Talk About. TabooTalkback.com is the website where you can find other episodes, but we've been having a bit of success with, just a lot of success on everything so far. But the last conspiracy podcast we did seems to be getting a lot of people, interested in. And we'll talk a little bit later about where some of those people are downloading it from, which may, it actually just, that may flip your mind a little bit. So, all right, Rob, Kaye.
Hello, thank you for having me.
Yes. Austin Flowers.
Good to be here.
Yeah, you're good to be here. Of course it's good to be here. Oh, why you sound all timid now? Why, what's going on? Have a long day? Tired?
No.
All right. Amanda Jones.
Hello.
Yes. I guess what I was saying about having some pretty good success here, I figured we better get back in and talk a little bit more, because there's so many more conspiracies out there, and really we just kind of scratched the surface on a lot of different conspiracies, but wanted to kind of do that same thing here. And as I talk to these guys, if you're listening out there, we've got some special things getting lined up. I don't really want to talk about it just yet, but I clued these guys in on it, and I think those will be some pretty interesting conversations when we get all that lined up. So, but I'm going to start with this one, which is one that I think I might have heard about it a long time before, but it's kind of resurfaced in the video I was watching. And it was that Vladimir Putin is immortal.
There's weird things out there.
Yeah.
I think the original Putin was killed off and replaced.
So just recently,
so this same thing like a Joe Biden body double, or alien double.
Yeah.
Okay.
On the immortal thing though, is I saw a bust of Julius Caesar halved with Putin's face to the next half.
Oh, really?
Do they look similar?
They do look similar.
They do look similar.
I mean, this is a concrete figure, but holy cow, the face is kind of symmetrical.
Yeah.
You know.
Yeah. Do Vladimir Putin immortal and do a for image search on Google, and then it'll come up with a picture where there's three of them. It seems like I think one is from 1920. The next one's like from 1950 something, and then this one, then the third picture.
Oh wow, yeah.
Is him recent picture, and
the Caesar Putin one is very convincing.
That's crazy.
They also do that with
highly convincing.
So also
Andrew Jackson and Epstein.
Get this as well.
On the $20 bill.
Russia is the third Rome. I don't know if a lot of the listeners or even a lot of people are aware of that, but when Rome transferred to Constantinople, when Turks took over Constantinople, Rome and the Orthodox Church went to Moscow, Russia. So Russia views itself as the third
You're
Rome.
right. A lot of us, or at least me, didn't know that.
So I guess it kind of plays into the Caesar thing.
Yeah.
And it's Kaiser, actually.
Kaiser.
That's the pronunciation.
They also compare Trump to General Patton. Oh, well, they look similar.
They did the same thing, really? Where they
reincarnated as...
And they say that, like Patton had and MacArthur had what they called the Messiah complex.
Now, how do you explain? They don't seem to. They either age or they don't age, but some of these photos you can tell it's different ages. So how do you? That's my only. I can't believe it.
I mean, you certainly can do a lot with graphics.
These can just be people that look similar.
Sure.
But what if it isn't?
Well, if you look into stem cells now, they can basically reverse aging with your own stem cell.
We touched on it. How do you know
they haven't had that technology?
Just a little in the last episode, vampires. Where does the damn mythology come from that there's the people who drink blood and they live longer than everybody? You know, it's just a fairy tale story,
Well,
but
it is
is
our
it?
lifeblood.
Is it?
It's hard to. I never wanted to believe that the people were doing the adrenochrome and all that stuff, but I mean, there's just so many things that are pointing towards that direction.
Totally, I
Well,
agree.
think about it. If you
And
have
they-
all the money, all the wealth, all the power in the world,
You're a vampire
what
and have
else-
been alive 200 years.
What else
Yeah.
would you want?
Really? Oh my goodness.
A longer life.
So another
Yeah,
thing
you-
too is like, think about this. If you invested $10,000 today and you were able to live 200-300 years, that $10,000 would be millions, if not hundreds of millions of dollars.
You
So-
don't know me very
the
well.
wealth.
I would still be trying to. I would probably be at about $9,500.
So, but the point I'm making is that money and time create wealth. So you'd have
Yeah.
Generational
Yeah.
wealth.
big time.
Yeah, and that's certainly plays that part when you look at movies like Highlander.
Mm-hmm.
He's immortal. He had just when that gallery with. I mean, you can collect a lot during that time.
Mm-hmm. And we also know in the Middle Ages there were people, the Society of the Rosy Cross, the Rosicrucians, who were looking for the Philosopher's Stone, which was supposedly a key to immortality.
Mm,
So I mean, there's all kinds of lore around
yeah.
immortality
Yeah.
and seeking it.
Who else?
Well, just the whole practice of sacrificing anything. They're going to drain blood from it, and what they do with it.
Yeah. Well, and that seems kind of strange because I've been doing a lot of documentaries about the House of David, which that's how they came about, was the promise of immortality, and all of them at least are gone. Yeah, I mean, so
Mhm.
I don't know rather what that really has into this story, but Shia LaBeouf, there's a video piece in that movie that was shot way back then. And they're doing a pan of all the different people that are in the just in line part of members, and you see this guy. He kind of comes across, and you look at him, and it looks just like Shia LaBeouf. And he goes a little further, and you get a shot of him. And every time I see it, I say that looks just like Shia LaBeouf. And to me, now that could be one of those situations where if there really are immortals or at least aliens or whatever they may be, shapeshifters that are taking the place of some of these people. It kind of seems weird when you see people that look just like them those years later, but they also say that every one of us has a doppelganger somewhere, somebody that looks exactly like us.
Well, yeah.
So is it really out of the question
Right.
that...
Right.
There's multiple like Taylor Swift impersonators. They have their TikToks or whatever, but it's like, how do you know it's just not a similar looking person? But these are some pretty. I mean, the Putin and Caesar one, that picture really gets me.
But logically, of course, it's just somebody who looks like them.
Sure.
But the fact that we now have the documentation to show that, like, there's a guy from the 1800s who looks like Justin Timberlake. Nick Cage keeps popping up everywhere.
Right.
Putin, etc.
Right.
It's not just a singular. It's not a singular occurrence. It happens with a lot of different people.
And they say the ear is so defining that they do a lot of measurements just from the ear itself between. Especially in Biden, that one was a real obvious one.
When you're talking about the attached earlobe and the unattached earlobe,
for sure.
Now, to me, that is also something that you could fake Photoshop wise.
Right.
It's pretty easy. It's but when you get enough of them, but it sure does when you see those photos, side by side,
they lose all credibility. Fool me once.
Yeah.
Bad mask. It's.
Right.
I think it's people in masks.
Yeah, that for sure.
Well, and then of course you start talking about, is this a big simulation? What are we doing when is it a bunch of tech geeks that are sitting in a room feeding us information to our laptops, to our devices?
So it's quite weird, right? If this was a simulation, it's just a bunch of ones and zeros or whatnot.
Mm-hmm.
Can you ask Google if the universe is flat? Because here's what I'm getting at is, like, if you go play Grand Theft Auto
We want the answer to that like right now, right?
If possible.
Okay, here, let me pull that up.
Are we getting into flat Earth right
No,
now?
no. It's way
I'm
past
really
that.
excited
Let's
about
not
that
start
one.
that one.
No,
just
no. It's
we're
flat
going
universe.
the flat universe, flat Earth.
Oh.
Okay, flat everything.
So if this is all a program, then it,
Everything.
like I was saying in Grand Theft Auto, you see the moon, you see the sun, whatever.
Right. What do I want to ask Google?
Is the universe flat?
If I could type. Keep talking.
So if this is a program, then it's all fake. And
There was a report I saw.
a disc.
Some scientists had figured out that they could prove the simulation by the theory of, I'm not sure the name of it, but if you don't see it, it's not there.
Oh yeah, that's quantum mechanics.
If you don't see it, it's not there.
So it says, according to NASA, as of 2013, the universe is flat within a 0.4% margin of error. So that's weird. The universe is flat.
That's like double the super drunk.
That's not our globe, though.
No, it's the whole universe.
This is based on
So
the
everything's just
results
smashed.
of the
That's how my brain is working right now.
So yeah,
the
like
WMAP map and Planck observational evidence.
physicists think
But that's the AI overview. Now, was the AI? What are they trying to tell us?
I don't know. We're in a program. It's weird. I know the disk is flat when I put it in my PC or my gaming system, and then it reads data off of a flat surface.
So, like, what if computers were created just so we can talk back?
There was a movie
that's what
about
we're doing
this.
right now.
They're stealing our energy.
The idea
Matrix.
that we are living in a computer program is known as the simulation hypothesis, and its logic has been debated in philosophy and computing.
Mm-hmm.
The hypothesis suggests that our reality is a simulated reality, such as a computer simulation, and we are constructs within that simulation.
So we think that this is a new idea, but if we look up Plato's The Cave, the allegory of the cave, he talks about people who are chained inside of a cave, and there's a fire behind them, and in between them and the fire is a walkway. And people walk and hold things, and they believe the shadows on the wall are what's real.
Mm.
So a guy gets to break out of the cave, and he sees the sun, he sees the real world. Yeah. He comes back and he tries to tell the people in the cave, and they're like, "No, you're fucking crazy, dude. This is all there is."
Right.
So it's an allegory. We know about allegory.
It's the whole take a fish out of water type simulation for us.
Right?
It's weird thoughts. Plato, he knew about it back then.
Wow. Well, when I asked that question, I didn't actually expect to go that deep.
That was fun.
It was fun for sure. But
you make a left and a right, and then another left. Next thing you know,
welcome to Wonderland.
You always end at that flat Earth.
Yeah, you're confused and trying to change the subject. That's how that goes right there. But you sent me a lot of videos and stuff, and you sent me one graphic the other day that kind of I just looked at it and said, this is really kind of an important thing, which is something to talk about here. And it really shows and there's still people that would probably deny totally,
even if they deny half of them. That's still one too many.
And it goes to say who was correct and right, and they put on the headline and said whom was correct and right. I don't think that's grammatically correct. I think it's who, right? Whom? Yeah.
We'll say the whole.
Whom was correct and right? Question
whom
mark.
Sounds more formal.
I think whom is fine.
Well, it's by whom the bell tolls, but not whom. I don't know. So sorry, maybe I'm wrong on that, but I would think at least conversationally wise, that would be who was correct and right. On one version, it says journalists versus conspiracy theorists. And the categories go such as this: Hunter's laptop, mRNA vax harm, the pandemic, the lockdowns, ivermectin efficacy, HCQ efficacy, hydrochloroquine, face masks that are useless, censorship, social media. And Zuckerberg just came out with
that was the icing on the cake.
Epstein Island, which nobody all of a sudden that's just buried somewhere.
We still don't know.
Yeah, the elite pedophilia, which is
island symbol which Nickelodeon uses. Yeah.
Too much talk about the elite pedophilia will get you killed, so we'll only mention that one. Biolabs, the Ukraine, child trafficking, Russiagate, the Steele dossier, and Ukraine corruption. And on that list, to the left of every one of those, it says where the journalist category, there's an X, which I assume means that they didn't have it. They said totally the opposite and told us a different story. And then the other one says conspiracy theorists, and the whole, it's all checkmark green. So, like I said, there's still people out there. You could show them the evidence and have them read it, and they still wouldn't believe it. But these are all ones, when you look at this, these are even stuff, all the stuff, as many conspiracy theories as we went through in the last last episode that we did conspiracy theories. I don't think we really even touched on any of those. How can there be so many conspiracy theories? And I think that the rate of conspiracy theories turning out to be true is it's starting to be that the conspiracy starts with the fact. But we've done or our government or whoever it's been has done such a good job over the years with the brainwashing of us that anytime someone says anything that is blatantly true, conspiracy theory, and already half the people are turned off and done.
Right. All the fluoride in the water.
Yeah.
Perhaps.
Mm-hmm. Everyone needs to get water bottles. Drink.
It's your well water, It's, you see the push for city governments pushing for city water and, city sewer. Of course, there's a lot of money attached. Is there anything else attached, with that?
Free fluoride.
Are they trying to get more fluoride to us? Who knows?
Well, that's what I mean. It all starts within your own person, just as far as, how open is your mind? Can you point this stuff out? I mean, I question these things and just something in my gut says something's not right, maybe question it.
Yeah.
And if most people don't have that, that's where we're at today.
Yeah. Well, this last week, that one you said as I was reading that list, Rob, was Zuckerberg's admission of the feds coming to him.
Yeah, being pressured by Biden.
You don't understand how huge that is. If they're talking about they interfered in an election, I mean, forgive me if I'm wrong, that's treasonous. And what is the penalty for treason?
Death.
And then they even threw in COVID, that they held information on COVID. How many doctor videos have we watched that got silenced and you couldn't show your friends?
Right.
You're arguing with friends and family. You lost relationships.
Yeah.
You were kicked out of stores because of your views.
Yeah.
And they were all wrong.
They're all wrong. YouTube did it. Twitter did it.
Yep.
And that was, can you imagine still where we might be if Elon Musk didn't buy Twitter?
I was just thinking that.
That's huge.
And now there's a whole, that's just nothing but lies and stuff on there now. It's like, well, no, I think the real truth is coming out there. And unfortunately, there's a lot of people that would suffer from the truth being known.
So I think that Twitter was probably a CIA shell corporation for propaganda uses, obviously. Oh. And they never thought that a single person would have the money to buy a $40 billion website. It's not a real thing. It comes with the building and some hardware, but it's not a real thing.
Well, that's one I've never heard that maybe our CIA own them. It
has to, because all of a sudden all these tweets come up out of nowhere. Oh, so-and-so said 12 years ago.
Yeah. Yeah.
Well, and nobody really dogged Elon publicly until he bought Twitter. Now he's a right-wing whatever, and he's not a right-wing person at all.
Well, I did figure out there is on the conspiracy line, if you were ever hesitant whether you wanted to vote for Donald Trump or not, him going back into office and totally declassifying all of the JFK assassination records is worth it, at least as far as a conspiracy theorist goes.
Yeah, they can't let that chink in their armor go, because you let one through.
Yeah, the CIA
it's going to snowball.
CIA is our overlords, in my opinion.
Yeah. Well, I actually, CIA, I didn't agree with that when I said yes. That was not an omission of agreement with Rob. I stand neutral on that. Totally 100%.
So, and that's an interesting whole thing, is the founding of the CIA, the families who founded it, where they're from, who they are. It's just a bunch of rich people. Bunch of rich people. Yeah, it's not a branch of the federal government or anything. It's just so the federal government uses the National security agency is like the
Right.
military's
Yes.
intelligence
Yeah,
service.
right.
Central intelligence is they're on their own. They do their own thing. They have a budget.
They are a rogue band of agents with that really can probably do whatever they want with impunity.
Oh, they could probably kill anybody in the world anywhere
Yeah.
at any time if they really wanted to.
Yeah. Yeah. So,
Lasers.
yeah, like I said, so let's not hit this nail too hard.
Well, I mean, look at the technology we're providing Ukraine with. There's so many videos on Twitter where these guys are running through fields and they're kamikaze drones. They have like bombs attached to these drones and they will chase you down and just explode.
Yeah.
No.
It's scary.
It's some
That
crazy
is a
stuff.
little
They're
scary.
crazy.
Yeah. So, I mean, because we've all seen a lot of movies that are futuristic that have drones running people down now and keeping track of everything that they're doing, all with facial recognition.
Yep.
You know, I mean, and we're to that, you know, you see Minority Report, you know, how far away from that are we now? You know, where you walk down the hallway going into the airport or whatever, and it's, hello, Rob, how are you? We know that you like to watch blah, blah, blah. No, I don't. You know, that's not me. Does anybody else seeing this, or is it just me? I mean, it's all, thank God they're all kind of aimed just for you, I guess. But
No, it's a scary, scary future, though. It's dystopian.
It is. Yeah. Yeah. And, you know, it makes you really kind of appreciate that country life.
For sure.
Being that if you
Homesteading.
we're only
off grid.
Yeah, we're only disconnected enough by our internet.
But see, they don't want the off grid. You're the first ones they'll be rounding up because they're trying to chase everybody into the 15-minute cities. Is that what they call it?
I don't know. What's a 15-minute city?
They want everyone to be living within 15 minutes of all the larger major U.S. cities.
Oh, this is some
and
of the BlackRock
area.
agenda. Is that what we're talking about?
BlackRock and what's the other World Economic Forum?
Yeah, when they're buying up all the properties and that.
And wanting us to eat bugs.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. You know, and someone else brought that up the other day. I can't remember what they were saying, and I'm like, well, that fits right into the. They were talking about we have a population problem. I said, well, not for all that long, because really kind of once the baby boomers are gone, our populations shall start shrinking since our birth rates are going down.
And like Bill Gates said, if you do a real good job with vaccines, we can keep that number down.
Yeah. Yeah. And they say it out loud under a different context.
Yep.
Yeah. The Freudian slip. You mean
Yeah, absolutely.
Kamala just said that the other day.
Yeah, she did.
What did she say? Which one?
The Freudian slip of keeping the population down.
She was like talking about depopulating. She's like,
oh, I missed that. I didn't hear that. Where did she do that?
Oh, it was like a press conference, and I think it was old.
Convention.
Oh, it had to be old because she hasn't done one since she's been.
No, it was
since
an older
she's been
clip,
elected into the position of running for president.
But yeah, she was talking about population control for sure.
Yeah,
in the clip. Yeah,
yeah,
I saw the same one.
Yeah, and let's talk about that for just a second. It seems as though issue after issue, she has now, at least through her staff, but let's see, this podcast is being recorded on a Thursday, and I think tonight is supposed to be her first interview that they do with Dana Bash on CNN. I do believe it's tonight or tomorrow. So we don't know. That's to be the first one. But what the information that's been released from her staffers or leaked from her staffers is like Donald Trump not all that long ago came out with no tax on tips. She's changed on that. She's flipped on her EV.
The border.
Building the wall.
Building the wall. Now she's
maybe we should.
Yeah.
Maybe that's a good idea.
Yeah, JD Vance says that she's going to show up in a blue pantsuit and a red tie, and and look like Donald Trump, and she should put the red wig on too, or the orange wig. I think that would be hilarious.
It's a shame,
and to me, I won't be fooled by it, because how do you change all your lifelong your stance that you've had an overnight switch? Does that say integrity to anybody here?
Not at all.
Does that say integrity to anybody out there that's listening?
To me, now the wall is just a symbol, because we know they're bringing them in boat, plane, train, tunnel, like El Chapo taught them, or they taught El Chapo how to tunnel them. So really the border is just a symbol. It is a start for one, especially talking to the people on the border. Yeah.
Well, if you like what we're doing here, make sure you hit like and share it with your friends. I think some people are, because we're getting some we're getting a lot bigger numbers than I get at my podcast for the radio show on this. People are listening. This
very cool.
Last episode we did is growing pretty fast. It's going to be kicking 200 downloads, which that doesn't sound like a lot, but for a new podcast just starting, it's pretty good. So I don't know if you wanted to pick up where you were, but I was going to say something about Project 2025.
Oh, yeah.
Which that's all another, I mean, not necessarily that's a conspiracy theory, but the left, the Democrats are using that as this is what Donald Trump is all about. When Donald Trump is turning around saying, I have nothing to do with that. I don't even know what it's about because I don't believe that part because I'm sure he knows exactly.
I'm sure he knows something.
His people told him what it's about. If he didn't read it himself, his people told him.
For sure.
But there's a lot of on the Project 2025. There's a lot of things that is incredibly inconsistent to what he's been. I think that he's been, as a politician, and he's not a politician, one of the most consistent people, at least with his message and what he says he wants to do. Politicians over the years, I remember even when I remember people bitching about it, and I'm like, how can he change his views on that? Why is he doing that every time we go into an election year? If this is something that they've been against, but they don't think they're going to win on that topic, they change their views and then do nothing about it. You know,
well, they took.
That's just been the cycle.
Everyone loved Reagan, so they took a Reagan-esque character and then made him basically into Rambo with his ideas more. Have you seen the new movie for Reagan?
No,
I heard it's pretty good. It just gives a really good background on how much his wife was involved in it.
Yeah.
My grandpa thought that Ronald Reagan was still acting in the White House.
Yeah, I believe that.
That he was just the figurehead, you know, and that was like
good-looking puppet.
Yeah, they went ahead and solidified it right then. Okay, we're going to hire a professional actor for this job.
Yeah, well, it wasn't until Kennedy to the real, outlier came out that he was the one really wanting to switch things up.
So I guess what's weird is it seems like maybe, initially they're like, hey, we could get this guy talking about Donald Trump. We could get him. He could be president. And then he's like, yeah, I could. And then totally went rogue on him, uncontrollable. And now he's like the worst thing ever to them.
Yeah.
But it's weird. He's been in all these different movies our whole life. He's famous.
Yeah.
Not all rich people are famous people.
No.
Donald Trump has sought fame. He knew fame is really power.
Yeah.
And
there is a lot of fear coming up, though. I want to say it's the 18th, is it? September 18th is when he could be sentenced to jail. And there's a lot of people believing they might put him in jail. Or if not, house arrest. Yeah. So then he can't go out and campaign.
It's just like political pandering.
Well, let me say this.
That would be after the debate. So if he mops the floor with her in the debate, they're going to put him in jail. They know he'll be in jail. Yeah. They're going to take him out.
Well, they can, if they've been house arrest, that they can come to him. But it's kind of funny, but it's been proven that you can win the office of the presidency from a basement. Or from your own house.
If you have the media on your side.
Well, I think...
And Zuckerberg
well, here's
now.
Well, okay. Well, at least let me say this as far as the media goes. Fox has a higher rating than all of them put together.
Right. So, but that went back to the original owner. And then when he...
Rupert Murdoch?
Rupert, when he retired, they turned it over to their Hollywood-loving kids that were rubbing elbows with all the other agencies.
That may just be the case, but they seem... I watch a lot of both of them, and their reporting is... It's really nice to watch Fox because they tell you what everybody else, what they're saying.
Yeah. No Newsmax? You don't watch Newsmax?
I did back...
I got some good...
Is that the one on you? Is that on YouTube?
No, it's right on cable.
The quality of Newsmax's people...
It's gotten better.
Has it? Because I always felt better. I felt like I was being yelled at.
In the beginning. It was rough in the beginning. I will agree with you there.
Their ratings skyrocketed. But I'd watched them and I felt like I was being yelled at. I mean, after a half-hour Newsmax show, I was tired.
Well, we were going through... We were going through COVID and election fraud. So, they were angry too.
But the fact that out of all that, we have had, new media outlets pop up. Newsmax. What's the other one?
There's a lot of podcasts, very popular.
A lot of podcasts, yeah,
like
absolutely.
The Officer Tatum.
Yep.
Yeah, I like watching him. I like watching the Hodge twins. Stuff with JP what is it? I get JP
now
Peterson is his last name.
Jordan Peterson.
Jordan, thank you.
No, those are different.
Yeah, I was JP. I'm thinking of as the one,
the comedian one.
Yeah, as the one from Seinfeld.
No, not the same.
Not
one.
Jay Peterman. No, it's a different Jay. It's Jay Peterman.
Jordan Peterson's good though.
Yes,
he's cool.
Yes.
Yeah.
I really like.
He's very, and I really like when watching the kind of the gotcha videos from him, because at some point, if you keep answering their questions and stay true to yourself, their argument ends.
It's a dead end.
It ends, and they're like, I don't know where to go with this.
Yeah.
So
JP Sears.
Oh, you're talking the redhead.
Oh, yeah, he's hilarious.
Yeah,
he's hilarious.
Yeah, he's pretty funny. So there's a lot of those out there, but
you should get him on the show.
I wonder if I could. Well, I'll put my producer on that one.
That would be so cool.
No. All right, well, put that on the list for me to try to get a hold of him. I will. There's been a couple that I've put on the list to get a hold of, and I haven't. And what's really kind of cool, if I was able to do it, is because I've got a lot more clout when I say that I'm calling from Rob Byrd's Moondog Show on 94.9 WSJM, FM out of Benton Harbor. They go, oh, wow, that'll get you a call back right away. All the things they don't want you to talk about may not. It may. I mean, because really a few people that I ran the name by as we were doing it, like, well, that really kind of says it all. It's, it speaks right out and says, what is this going to be about? So, yeah, Mel's Hole. Have you ever heard of Mel's Hole?
Yes.
You haven't heard of Mel's Hole?
I can't say that I have.
Mel's Hole, and I can't remember exactly where it was, and maybe you check that one out and look that one up for later, but it was a huge hole that was in the ground, and they threw stuff in it for years and years and years, and it never filled up.
Ellensburg, Washington.
Have heard of
yes.
This. Yep.
Yes. And it's a really crazy story because Mel, he got in touch with, it was the very early days, Coast to Coast AM with what's
George
his name?
Mel Waters.
Oh, earlier.
No, that was his name. I don't know. I have to click on this.
It's killing me that I can't remember his name, but he was the pioneer in conspiracy talks on the radio.
It wasn't George Norrie, or was it pre-George Norrie?
What year was George Norrie?
So I want to say late 90s to mid 2010s.
Yeah, you just search Coast to Coast. Art Bell.
Okay, he was he was the first.
Yes. And he was a big part of the show. He was calling in, and then at one point, then he disappeared, and then years later came back with it's still him, but it was like a weird story. But the art, and I'm just kind of jumping all over the place. If we ever want to talk more about this one, it's a good one for really. It's almost kind of one of those spooky ones where they have tales of that a guy threw his dog in there, and a couple of days later he saw his dog running around.
Yeah, the dog was dead.
The dog was dead. Well, was dead when he threw it in.
Right.
But his dog was running around, but didn't recognize him. It was like a Cujo thing. Yeah,
it's a portal.
It's portal. Well, and it would go for miles. It just never had a bottom. They put miles of line down there and never touching the bottom with anything. And they would go cameras.
That's why I think the whole design of the globe Earth is to distract you with what's beyond the universe, the stars, and other planets. They don't want you looking right here under your feet because there's a lot of stuff.
Hashtag flat universe.
Know.
Yeah, okay.
Underground.
But they were lowering cameras down the hole, and all the cameras ever came back with was blurry footage.
That reminds me of all those shows they have on Discovery now, like what was it, the ranch that they're trying to find?
Skinwalker
Ranch. It's like I watched so many episodes. It's like, show me something.
Yeah.
Show me something solid.
Come to a conclusion. Ghost Hunters, all those shows. Yeah. Like, come on, show me something.
Then you devote so much time to it. You have to stick with it for the rest of the season.
But I tell you, that's a good indication of what they're going to let us know. I mean, because now they've got so many shows about aliens and paranormal.
Well, last summer, the government
they will
said
show
they are
you
real.
what their schedule is of what they're going to be.
Yeah.
I mean, because before they had a bunch of documentaries on pot and this and that. Next thing you know, pot's legal and it's accepted.
Well, now they have all the multiverse, like every genre of everything has like a multiverse now with multiverse characters. And what if this whole thing with like Caesar Putin just goes right back to that? Time travelers.
Yeah, that goes into another U.S. patent of the Project Looking Glass, being able to look into the future and adjust it now to get the right trajectory they want.
Right.
But this could also be a case of time machine versus time machine.
So really, what you're
and
saying
we're
is
stuck in
we're all being groomed.
Yes.
Yeah, because in another 50, 60 years, those generations, this is all normal. And they've already had everything scrubbed off the internet. If the books don't exist, they'll never know our history, just like we don't really understand maybe like the life in the 1800s because that stuff's just not around.
Yeah. Yeah.
And people don't read. You don't.
As long as they still have reruns of Little House on the Prairie, we're going to know.
Well, they said the 1920s is when everything started switching over. If you can
What do you mean switching over?
Just when the big oil tycoons basically took over the world and controlled everything.
1920s you're talking about, that would be around the Depression?
Yep.
But
I mean, that's when
maybe the cause of the Depression.
They bought, the education. They're just saying if you find books before 1920s, that's going to show you a lot more than...
Also, in 1913, the Federal Reserve was created, and that's just a banking monopoly. It has nothing to do with our government. So, yeah, there's a very critical tipping point there at the turn of the last century.
Well,
a lot happened.
Yeah, so keep your old books.
Old books.
Well, that's also the World Fair time when they went around to the large cities, built all this
infrastructure just to tear it down.
immaculate technology.
Or to leave it.
Right.
Yeah, we still have the Museum of Science and Industry in Chicago. That's a remnant of the World Fair.
Yeah, that's crazy.
For a temporary building, it's pretty solid.
Yeah, I guess so, yeah.
It's pretty heavy duty.
I wonder what's really going on underneath
Built
that
pretty
place.
well by horse and buggy type men.
As you say that, though, let's not forget that the first prototype for a radioactive cell was in Chicago underneath the lake. So it's prime for that kind of shit. It's right there.
Say that again.
So you'll have to Google this, but the first, I want to say, nuclear reactor that was fired up during the Manhattan Project was in Chicago by the lake underneath town.
Really?
Yeah.
So if something would have happened, we'd all been, we wouldn't be here.
We wouldn't talk about it. Yeah, we wouldn't be here to talk about it.
There'd be a lot less of us.
Yep. No Chicago.
Yeah.
Chicago pile number 1.
Yeah.
Number 1? How many more were there?
So I don't know. The Manhattan Project.
I don't know.
It's still not really.
I'm glad it's not 431.
It was December 2nd, 1942.
So that would just be the first place that they built one.
Yeah.
Oh, so they figured out that science pretty quickly if you think about it.
Yep. To be dropping a bomb in 44.
Right.
That was fast.
But then, I don't know if we were together when we heard this. Somebody said something about the atomic bombs weren't real. Was that us here?
I've heard that.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I don't know. I didn't even look into that because I'm like, oh, man.
And why wouldn't you think they're not real?
What would it have been then?
More firebombing, I would say.
Because they say more people
like
died in the fire bombings they did on, I believe, Tokyo than with the atomic bombs. But what was the chess game? What was the game they were playing?
We also still to this day, we have a big bomb called the Daisy Cutter we've used in Afghanistan. And I think it's like a 10,000 pound bomb. It's devastating. I think it's the biggest bomb we have that's non-nuclear. So it's nuts.
Yeah. Well, then who made the film with nuclear bombs being exploded?
So that is an interesting point, Rob. And then you've seen the camera where it's looking at the house and then everything just blows off. Well, how is the camera standing still? They
do the same thing with the moon landing when they leave. Like, who's filming them leaving?
That is nice.
Who was the first man on the moon to record the first man on the moon?
It was just like YouTube that they set the camera up and they took off, then had to come back and get the camera.
We learned from someone.
Yes, yeah. And that's how they do it on YouTube. But Well, I mean, I know that back then when they were doing those tests that they did have huge metal bunkers with glass, thick glass, white, a foot thick. So you could shoot that stuff because they wanted certainly not only to have it to be able to see with somebody's eyes on how powerful it was, they wanted to have a record of it.
Right.
That is one thing that we were good about. As soon as we, figured out the film thing and then video later, we used it to document everything. It's all there and everything. And I bet you, how much of it is still in the archives that they're not showing us
or been destroyed.
Been destroyed. Yeah.
Been destroyed.
Once you know that the government actually has money going to the film industry, they have a budget for that.
For their propaganda.
It's
films.
like, how long have they been making these videos? And that can explain a lot of it.
Yeah. So when we ask a question,
that was main. All those were. Especially when the TV came out, you put something on that. You talk about strike fear. No wonder everybody was building bomb shelters and preparing for. Our parents had to put their heads under the desk in school.
So is time repeating itself now in our generation, like in our time?
Yeah, every 100 years.
Well, it seems like I remember having some of those tests too, because we had two different ones. I remember
they turned more into tornadoes.
The tornadoes, we had to go out in the hall and all face the hall. But I remember there were ones that we had to get under the desk, or maybe it's just a figment of my imagination.
Yeah, St. Basil's had a tunnel from the church to the school, so that's
where they brought you guys. Yeah, so you guys get buried if something happened.
Oh, the Lord would save us.
That's weird. That's weird, though. The church has a tunnel from the school to the church. There
used to be a pipe wrapped with asbestos. We'd all jump up and slap it as we ran by.
Well, we know where to blame.
We didn't know it was asbestos at that
time. Wow. Yeah, no, and that's funny because, I remember when I went to college and, we slept for 2 years, slept in a loft 2 feet from an asbestos ceiling.
Oh,
shit. Glad I wasn't one of those fighters in my, knocking those around or anything like that. When people that fight and have, terrors in bed.
Oh, yeah.
Wow.
So, do you remember, when we talked about this censorship thing and how important it was to censor Hunter's laptop? And we still haven't even, there's so much in there. Is there anybody out there
just
in this
to
world?
admit that it's real is bad enough.
Yeah.
If you see, they've already put up, you could spend a day or more just going through the video, the pictures he's taken, all the data from that laptop.
Yeah, I only needed to see the couple they showed us on the news. That's all I needed to see.
Yeah,
anything.
He was weighing, I think, crack cocaine in a video that was above a felony.
Yeah,
and he's still walking free.
Well, and then when there's cocaine in the White House, which is another huge conspiracy. Gee, to me, I would kind of understand if it was Joe's. He might need
that shit.
He might need a little pep here and there, and if it's nice and clean stuff, it could be good for him.
That's what they do there. That's what keeps that city moving.
So I've heard that's what all the upper crust of society does, and us poors just don't realize.
Coke is the designer drug. It's for people with money.
You gotta be balling to buy Coke.
Well, because it's one of those things that
they be smoking rocks too. They just don't want to admit it.
Right. That's when they're alone. When they're partying, they do Coke together.
Jeez.
Yes.
Yeah, back to the censorship, laptop.
I should totally go back and cut all that out.
Yes. The laptop shows pictures of them with underage girls. So, what's the holdup?
Well, yeah, they certainly look underage.
But yeah, they're gonna, it's just, they're basically trying to wake everybody up by being how stupidly obnoxious they are by prosecuting a former president for shit we don't even know about, that they're really only charging him as a private citizen being a president. He's totally exonerated from it.
So like you're saying, this guy has been in these videos with Asian hookers with guns and cocaine, and he's still running around. And this other dude who's running for president has had 90 some indictments against him.
Yeah.
Oh, you have to feel sorry for Hunter, though.
No, it's
not
so
easy for Hunter.
He lost his brother.
and had his wife.
Hey, Donald Trump lost his brother too.
He has an addiction problem, and we need to, just be there for him.
Yeah,
white boy problems.
Yeah, he's got that white privilege that we all supposedly have.
Right.
Yeah.
You know?
I think it's good to get people help that have drug issues and problems, but where we give just a little too much sympathy, I do believe.
Yeah, I
People
mean,
should be held accountable.
Regardless.
yeah, I totally feel bad for, like fucking poor people who their life sucks and then they get hooked on shit. I don't feel bad for some rich kid who became a lawyer. His dad's the fucking president, likes to do cocaine and hookers. I don't feel bad for him. No, not even a little bit.
Well, like as humans, we're going to find something in life to be addicted to.
Yeah, sure.
And so you just have to make sure you're addicted to doing something positive, I guess, for yourself, not
For
that's
sure.
going to be destroying yourself.
Yeah.
Yeah. Or at least something not only half bad.
Right.
I mean,
Still have a little fun.
Or something you can make yourself.
You can't go with something totally positive.
You can
Right.
make quite a bit by yourself.
But this whole
Gets into that like prepping.
my daddy didn't love me, Hunter Biden, poor him. No, fuck that guy.
Well, because as society, we have to be our feelings now.
Well, we got too many want to play victims.
Yep.
Victimhood. It's time to grow up and stop being the victim.
But back to the censorship thing.
Thank you.
Again.
How did we get off
Like,
subject?
what is their angle for Zuckerberg to write that letter to whomever? What's the angle?
Guilty
Why
conscience.
did they out themselves?
It
now?
wasn't just a letter either. Seemed like he went in front of some kind of and did a live interview on TV and talked about it.
Yeah, I thought it was
he's
just a
Jewish
letter.
as hell, and the left has really abandoned the Jewish people in America.
Well, and if you've noticed, I mean, this last year, who he's been hanging out with, Dana White, and kind of that crew, and the Dana White crew is not there now. There's no soy boys in Dana White's crew.
You have to look at that group of people. They're
That's
very
awesome,
people will call them alpha males, but they're strong men, strong leaders. That's who everybody will go to in a crisis. It doesn't matter if you're Republican or Democrat. When you're scared, you're going to go find that strength you need.
The meek shall inherit the earth, but somebody's got to protect them and tell them, or protect them and tell them.
Evil will
For
prevail
sure.
when good men sit back and do nothing.
You know what I found? This was earlier. I was just looking on the screen. It says, "Tell a lie loud enough and long enough, and people will believe it." It's from Adolf Hitler. And I just keep thinking that when they say all these repeated phrases in this election, especially, it's on both sides, but some of this stuff is just starting to
What can
get
be
too much.
undone? What can be unburdened by what has been?
That was also, I think, a Stalin statement or something too.
Right. People are saying that was straight like Marxist,
Right. Yeah.
socialist propaganda.
Mm-hmm.
But it's just wild right now because I'm looking on social media and some of these people are just repeating these lies. And then, you get that internal thing. Should I say something to them? Or should I just keep moving? And right now, I try to stay away from it because I just can't.
Like avoid the confrontation.
Right, because you'll get everyone jumping on you. It's not the proper place to have a conversation.
I saw a video clip of a guy was talking about Mount Rushmore, and someone had argument on the comment that, those weren't man-made, those were there, they were inherited. And he's like, no, we made those, blah, blah, blah. Come to find out, he was basically arguing with AI. They had tried to gang up on him with different accounts and tried to get him with racism, almost like those are indigenous lands. You're so disrespecting by saying that we went there and made them. And it goes back to, as you said before, about the clothing company with the cornucopia in the symbol.
Oh, yeah. Fruit of the Loom.
Yeah. What was the term for
Mandela
that? The
effect.
Mandela effect. It's basically using that in an internet argument of something we know is true, but it's showing you the power that they have.
So I think maybe it might have been talking about that was an ancient place that was sacred to natives. It was called like the Five Fathers or something like that. But they were already in the rock faces. It didn't look like faces like we have there today that are carved.
Right.
But the rocks kind of made faces. So they're saying that we erased that to put white people faces up there.
I believe that.
But I mean, they were just rocks.
We do some shit like that.
We did some pretty cool stuff with those rocks.
Can't say we wouldn't. I'd like to believe we didn't, but we did.
Well, I know they have the Crazy Horse. I can't call it a monument. They're doing the same thing they did in Mount Rushmore on a different one, and it's him pointing at it.
Yeah, well, they've been building it forever. It's not done
funding.
yet. Yeah. Can't remember. A few years ago went out west and we stopped by there because we hit Mount Rushmore, and it is really something to be seen for sure. And then that night we were on the way on where we were going. We decided we wanted to go hit Crazy Horse, but it started raining, so we didn't go in. But yeah, it talks about they've been working on that for ever, and it's like half done or something. I'm not sure about that. Don't quote me on that number, but yeah, but there's something about it. Why are they doing it? Why build those? There's something other than just a monument to these people.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, there's really, so it's not a new thing in history, but anywhere you would go, like the Romans, for instance, there's not a lot of Celtic history available. A lot of it was probably destroyed by the Romans. A lot of the early Germanic history, like the Norse, they only had an oral tradition. You kill them all off and it's gone.
Yeah, I was going to say, us Irish were quick to anger.
Yeah, well, we were a world of conquerors, and we still are. But with coalitions and all that, some of that is held at bay. But yeah, that's what our entire world was you if you were a country next to another country, you wanted that country. And then
our tribe takes it.
Yeah, and then take the ones next to that, and we'll just see how far we go. And at some point, they would usually run into somewhere where they couldn't go any further, or defeated them and took everything from them.
And a lot of times, when you conquered a people, you'd kill the men, and you'd take the women, and then breed
and scrub their history.
Yep, right. The history's gone.
Yeah, burn it.
You're Germans now. We're just going to call you English.
Yeah.
That's what they did with the giants. We're going to go down that.
Talked about that. They talked about that. Said that to somebody the other day too, because they're talking about history of something with Walt Disney, and I said, well, and they say there's a controversy between who had the first trains, or did Walt Disney buy a train from the House of David? And there's some people in the House of David say that they did, but history shows that says they didn't. A lot of people in history say, well, we've got proof that it didn't. But could you put it past someone like Walt Disney or any powerful man to kind of change their own written history to look like he didn't copy anybody?
Right.
And then,
not to say that he did or
it's
didn't.
Totally possible.
But it's certainly totally possible.
Yeah.
So
who's the most popular inventor?
Oh, they say Thomas Edison. That's the scrubbing of history.
Yeah, didn't he basically steal over 30 inventions from other people and put them in his name?
I don't even really know if you'd say he was a great inventor. He was a great businessman.
Yeah.
He actually employed Nikola Tesla and took a lot of his inventions while he was working at GE as an employee. So, great businessman.
Mm-hmm.
Now we know him as the great inventor.
Yeah. Have you ever gone over to the Ford, the museum over there in Dearborn?
Yep.
That's pretty cool.
And Greenwich Village, I think it's called.
Yeah.
Super cool place.
It is. But now when you talk about stuff like that, how accurate is that history?
Who knows?
You walk through there and you think this is, you really get that feel like I know the story.
Right.
And so many of our stories that we think we have known growing up that we're taught in our textbooks aren't quite what we were taught.
Yeah. George Washington didn't not cut down a cherry tree. I can't tell a lie. All that stuff. That's just myth. The Pilgrims and the Indians, that shit didn't happen like that.
Yeah. Are you talking them hanging out happy and all that stuff?
Yeah. The first Thanksgiving.
Yeah.
That's American myth.
Yeah. I'm sure there was some collaboration,
it
probably did not come easy.
It was a celebration of them killing another tribe. Wasn't it?
I'm not sure on the exact
I do believe
origins,
we gave them blankets with smallpox, though. So that was a little
later. Yeah.
You mean we killed people off in history using a virus?
What was that? Was that like Little Bighorn or something? What was that?
For which one?
When they gave them all the infected blankets.
Oh, I'm not sure.
Yeah.
I know that it's happened multiple times.
Yeah.
Well, one time on purpose.
We killed off. We used the railroads to kill off the American buffalo just to starve them. That's
so when we first made contact, that they did die. There was a pandemic here. A lot of the natives died, but then what you were referencing, I believe, is I think during the Manifest Destiny expansion westward, the U.S. Army actually delivered blankets to the tribes that came
smallpox.
from smallpox patients.
Right.
Yeah. So that was a biological warfare.
Yeah.
It happened in 1763 to 64 too, but it was the British.
Holy cow.
So,
evil bastards.
Yeah, so I guess that's been a thing for a long time.
I do see where some people are mad at the white guy.
How do you think they stored those blankets?
I don't know. That's weird.
Yeah, they didn't have plastic and anything
They probably
hermetically
just had cotton
sealed.
socks or sacks or something.
They probably just threw them into the back of the wagon, and they probably didn't tell the officers that were delivering them what they were. They probably said, bring these out to the natives and give them all these blankets.
Surely
they probably thought they were doing something good.
Right.
Oh, that would suck.
From the top down, the order, it wasn't, two guys just like, hey, let's give these to the natives.
Note to self, never take government handouts.
Yeah. Although they were different times then. There were, people, at least from some of the movies that you see, you can certainly believe it was true that there was some brutality dished upon these people.
Oh, for
the
sure.
The basis of our conspiracies are history. And when history repeats itself on how we treat our people and others, that's end and point.
Yeah. And that's what they're supposed to be saying is we learn history so we don't repeat it.
Totally.
But why are we
then
repeating
why are they
history?
filtering history, censoring history?
So we won't
shadow banning history.
They have the templates and the blueprints already written out. So
all of these communist and socialist countries that have not succeeded and have all these problems. Now, why are our people trying to be ones that bring on these same policies?
The grass is always greener.
Yeah, well, if you don't want history to repeat itself, you don't do the same thing over again, but yet they want to. So what's that hidden agenda? Because there has to be one at that point, because we already know what's going to happen if we gouge.
I think population control. World War I and II. There was millions of people who died and lost their lives, soldiers, civilians. If we go to war with Russia, millions more people will die again.
Yeah.
It's not good.
The percent of our young people that are military ready to
do you think it's Russia or China first?
I'm not sure. They're a coalition.
They're together now, and we forced them together.
Yeah. So it's not good.
But I think we brought them together by decisions that our government made.
Yeah, we made them natural allies.
Yeah.
If the Q thing is correct, they're supposed to, China and Taiwan are supposed to go at it before the end.
How could Taiwan even stand a chance?
Only with us.
They're kind of like China's deep state or like ours.
Well, Taiwan is actually called the Republic of China. When China was ran by the Nationalist Party as a republic before the communist takeover, the people who are in Taiwan now were the people who are in power in mainland China.
Yeah.
So it's just like if we overthrew the government, whatever, they go out to Martha's Vineyard.
Yeah. And Rob, I think you're absolutely right. The only way they survive that is with our help. But before we're there to help and we can do anything about it, there's going to be some kind of huge attack. And wouldn't China just hit them with a bunch of nukes right away, as opposed to, or does China want that land so badly that they're going to ground? They're going to.
Yeah, Taiwan is a wonderful place. It's a great economy, and they are also, I believe, the second or third largest manufacturer of microprocessing chips.
Yeah, but I'm sure that's one thing they don't like. So why not just level it and be done with it? Now they can be.
I think
they'd
China
rather wipe them out with a plague or something, because it's cut and easy, dry, clean. You can clear them out, bring in a whole new population, and not have to rebuild.
Yeah, I think China wants
back to the
economy
theory
and all the industry that comes with it, and the people of Taiwan are Han Chinese, so they're already Chinese.
Now, when we talk about, and I've had this conversation at Ian Jacklin on my radio show a couple times. He was talking about there was no virus, no such thing. He goes, it's 5G.
I've heard that conspiracy.
Now, let me bring that a little bit further for you. Do you remember the year before when all those kids were dying from inhalers and
vapes?
The vapes.
Oh yeah.
And there's a lot of people who would say that was the first real. That was really
more
bad.
of a cutting agent they were adding into the oil that wasn't tested or safe for human consumption or inhalation.
But it was the 5G interacting with that, just like how they're trying to control the population with the vaccines and 5G because it puts metals and stuff in you, and it
Right. They're saying
that's part of the
I guess
population
theory
reduction
is-
program too.
The theory is 5G is more like microwave type energy.
A lot of people were getting sick when it was first turned on, when they upped in their different communities when it was up to 5G. A lot of people were getting sick.
You know, because
Yeah.
I've seen videos though of a cell phone repair guy opening up a 2024 phone, and he's showing you this is where the 5G clip should be, and it's not here. He's claiming 5G isn't a thing yet. It's something we're paying for now in the future as a funding.
Yeah.
Okay.
Like my phone shows that I have 5G, but it's not any faster than it used to be at 4G.
Yeah,
So-
or LTE, or
Or
Right.
1X.
I don't usually notice any real difference, as much difference in the phone quality as opposed to sending any kind of data. And that's not even just going through, that's not going through. So it just surprises me that data is that much
But yeah,
bigger
if
than
that 5G
sound.
conspiracy is true, that's just going to mess with any metals that are in your body, aluminum, metals from whatever your diet.
Mhm.
That's going to mess with you, all the metals in your body.
Yeah, well, Alzheimer's, and I do believe that those cognitive, a lot of those diseases are blamed on heavy metals in the brain
Right.
and that
A lot-
accumulate.
aluminum was the
that
number
accumulate,
one.
and like aluminum's a big one, which most everybody uses that in their deodorants. There's aluminum
Yeah.
in it.
Yeah, not anymore. They're starting to take it out.
They finally started to
Chemtrails.
get
Now
out.
they say aluminum free. What do you mean that you were putting aluminum in? Why are you letting me know you're taking it out? Why was it in there in the first place?
Right.
Because
Your
it's
armpits are the most sensitive. I mean,
you have the absorbers. Yeah.
Yeah, and you have lymph nodes like
yeah,
right there.
They wouldn't poison
Sorry.
us. They wouldn't do
Oh,
that.
you're good. No, they wouldn't, would they?
No.
No. So
It's almost like, the whole world drinking out of what canisters? Oh, aluminum cans.
Now, do they actually? My question is, do they actually think about it first and say, these CFCs and plastic bottles is not good for people? Let's start using those. Or is this a matter of technology happens? And
There's so many
then
of
they
them,
find
it's
ways to
gotta be-
manipulate it when.
There's so many of them. It's got to be coordinated effort. Yes, a lot of them were found on accident, but they're so smart and advanced now that they can put a product separate or two different chemicals in them, and they don't make the toxic one until they enter your body. But by being able to label them separately, they're not toxic. Put
Yeah.
them two together, they are.
Yeah.
Our clothes used to be made out of cotton and stuff. Now,
Yeah,
now,
and wool.
now it's
Polyester.
polyester.
Silks and
Polyester,
Plastic and
it's
everything.
plastic.
Right. Petroleum based.
It's petroleum-based plastic. So we're wearing gas shirts.
It's messing.
Oh,
you
yeah.
Like you said, the
messing
oil
with your-
barons.
Well-
I don't know. I don't know if they did. Sit in a room and they're like, what can we make out of all this byproduct? Be damned who it screws over.
They did a
right?
lot of that with the war. They had so much shit left over from
Yeah.
wartime that
But-
they're like, well, let's find a use for it.
They've done everything. Like, why is everything in plastic? Why are we wearing plastics? Why is our cars plastic? It's everywhere. Why are we drinking out of plastic?
Mhm.
Eating out of it.
Yeah, and what's
With it-
plastic made out of? Petroleum. Oh, I thought we didn't
Yeah.
want petroleum
Yeah.
anymore. We didn't want that. We want
Strange.
green energy. Well, you got to stop making everything out of fucking plastic then.
Well, then you
if
go
you want to
to-
quit using oil.
Right. And then if you get into the clothes, you can think, what do people usually wear for comfort? Sweatpants, cotton shirts, or the sweatshirts,
Yep.
things that are,
Well,
at least
if
in my
you believe
opinion.
your body is an electric being, there's a whole nother rabbit hole
Yeah.
of why those fabrics aren't good for your body as a frequency vibration.
Well, I believe that electric being thing. I went out and hugged a couple trees on your request again earlier today. And you put your temple
That's
right
what
on
they used
that
to
tree.
say.
and
You're grounded.
Yeah.
That's what they meant. You're grounded.
It's kind of weird that as I say still, and like I said, I feel weird when I say this, but you can tell which trees are kind of in different cycles. My normal tree that had a lot of energy is a popular, but it seems like a lot less because it's already starting
Those
to
are
go
pretty
dormant.
popular.
Yeah, where the walnut tree is still got a lot of energy right now.
Denser grain, slower
Yeah.
growth.
You can feel
More
it. It's
energy.
strange. I feel like such a whatever. But
Hippie.
Even if it is a placebo effect, if it's making you feel better, then
it's weird. I mean, it's not. It can't be, because you can, once you grab a hold of it, you can feel yourself connect.
Yeah, I've seen videos of people, hooking meters up to themselves and showing you the inflammation on their body. They go out for a 5-minute walk, come back in and check it again. I mean, there's a lot of videos.
I saw one of the
same thing with senior citizens.
Did it with
getting
kids.
them out of the bed, barefoot, outside, walking in the grass, getting natural sun.
Yeah.
I mean, it makes them feel so much better.
They tested these kids' electrical currents and then told them to go out in the courtyard barefoot for 10 minutes and come back in, and it was totally changed.
I mean, even if it's a scam, they make blankets now that you can plug into the ground outlet of your receptacle and sleep in bed.
I've heard of those, yes.
Grounded.
Yes. One of the guys on the Scott T on the radio show, he says he had one, or his girlfriend had one, but it makes him feel really, really weird. And we kind of summed it to because he's had a heart attack at one point.
So his body's more sensitive.
Yeah.
Does he have a pacemaker?
No. But that was just a surmise out of our part. But
Food for
yeah,
thought.
he goes, man, when it's on, he goes, it just makes me uncomfortable and I don't like it. And he says she thinks it's the best thing that's ever happened.
Wow.
Yeah. Yeah. So,
Grounded.
yeah. Well, we've been at it here for about an hour and 5 minutes or so. Are we feeling pretty good about it, or is there anything that we need to talk about?
No, I feel like we had a great run there.
Yeah.
A lot of fun.
Yeah, it was good stuff. So, all right. Well, remember to like, share, tell all your friends about us, listen to the show. It's evident that you guys are out there doing just that, because I can see the numbers. And that was one thing I was going to tell you about. The first 5 weeks or whatever of doing this podcast, when it's just like the radio show, most of them like 80% Michigan and stuff. It's down to it was like 30% Michigan, 40% Michigan, 30-something% California. And then Florida was in there, New York was in there, Illinois, and then Texas were like the top three.
Very cool.
Left, the top three right states are the ones that were
very cool.
Yeah, I thought that was kind of telling. So it's not just people in this area
plates to kill us.
Yeah, and that's how the radio show started. Everything was close was in our vicinity who were listening, but now this one is a lot faster, reaching further. So thank you guys.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Rob Kaye, Austin Flowers, Amanda Jones. Yeah. All the things they don't want you to talk about. You can find other episodes and some of the things we want to talk about. Leave us a message if you've got something you want us to talk about at tabootalkback.com. Please like, share, subscribe, all those things. We'll see you next time on All the Things They Don't Want You to Talk About. All the Things They Don't Want You to Talk About podcast is part of the Rob Byrd Moondog Podcast Network. Go to tabootalkback.com for more information. Copyright 2024.